Welcome to the What is Stoicism podcast.
The philosopher of the modern age is often seen as someone who spends more time talking and writing about philosophy than actually practicing it as a way of life. Philosophy today is frequently treated as an academic subject, something discussed in lecture halls, analysed in books, debated in essays, and evaluated in terms of theories and arguments. It's easy to forget then that in ancient Greece and Rome, to be a philosopher meant something very different. Pierre Hadot explains this distinction in The Inner Citadel, his book about Marcus Aurelius' meditations. He reminds us that a philosopher in antiquity wasn't necessarily a theoretician of philosophy, as is often assumed. In the ancient world, a philosopher was someone who lived like a philosopher, that is, someone who led a philosophical life. This is an important distinction. Philosophy wasn't merely something to be understood intellectually, it was something to be embodied. It wasn't simply a body of ideas, but a way of existing in the world. Many philosophers from antiquity were so focused on practice that they barely wrote anything down. Cato, the Stoic statesman admired for his integrity, wrote no philosophical treatise. Epictetus' discourses and other sayings only survived because his student Arrian transcribed them. Even Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, one of the most widely read philosophical works in the world today, was never meant for publication. It was a private journal, a personal exercise, a place where the Roman emperor turned again and again to the principles he was trying to live by. As Hadot points out, when Marcus wrote the Meditations, he wasn't inventing a new doctrine or advancing Stoic theory. But that doesn't mean he wasn't a philosopher. Quite the opposite. His philosophy consisted precisely in the daily work of examining his thoughts, correcting his judgments, and applying Stoic principles to the circumstances of his life. In this sense, Marcus wasn't writing philosophy so much as practicing it. To be a philosopher, Hadot explains, wasn't to have received a theoretical philosophical education or to hold a professional title. It was to undergo a conversion, a radical change in lifestyle, and to commit oneself to a way of life different from that of most people. That's what we try to do with our own daily practice. We aren't attempting to become professors or to theorize endlessly. We're trying to live like philosophers. Seneca says something similar in his fifth letter to Lucilius. The philosopher's life, he suggests, should occupy a happy medium between the life of a sage and the life of the world at large. It should be admirable, but also understandable. It should be different from the habits of the common herd, but not needlessly strange or theatrical. Philosophy then doesn't require us to withdraw from an ordinary life. It asks us to live ordinary life differently, with more attention, more integrity, more courage, and more wisdom. But this raises a practical question. What exactly are we meant to practice? It's perhaps surprising and sometimes frustrating that we don't possess a definitive ancient handbook containing the complete core principles of Stoicism in one neat and authoritative form. It's likely that many ancient accounts were lost, damaged, or simply not preserved well enough to reach us. We have fragments, summaries, letters, lectures, meditations, and later interpretations. Even so, we're fortunate. Enough of Stoicism has survived for us to understand both its theoretical foundations and its practical application as a philosophy of life. In the philosophy of CBT, Donald Robertson discusses the ancient practice of condensing complex philosophical ideas into short, memorable statements that can be committed to memory and recalled throughout the day. Drawing on Pierre Hadot, he summarizes the common Stoic attitude as consisting of four main features. The first is the all is one. This means recognizing that no individual being exists in isolation. Everything is part of a larger whole, the universe considered in its full spatial and temporal reality. We aren't detached fragments. We're participants in something vast, interconnected, and ordered. The second is The only good is moral good. For the Stoics, the only things that truly matter in the deepest sense are the things within our control, our acts of will, our decisions, our intentions, our judgments, and our character. External events may be preferred or dispreferred, but they're not the true good. The true good lies in how we choose to act. The third is the brotherhood of man. Human beings are valuable in themselves because they possess reason, volition, and the capacity for wisdom and virtue. We should therefore think of all men and women as kin, as brothers and sisters, fellow participants in the same human community. The fourth is the here and now. The Stoic sphere of control is centered on the present moment. It's only here, in this instant, that we can make choices, correct our judgments, and act according to virtue. The past is gone, the future is uncertain. Practice always happens now. These four principles don't exhaust Stoicism, of course. There's much more to learn, reflect on, and apply, but they provide a strong foundation for daily practice. Read over them at the beginning of the day. 1. The all is one. 2. The only good is moral good. 3. The brotherhood of man. And 4. The here and now. Then return to them later. Ask yourself, did I remember that I am part of a larger whole? Did I treat moral character as the highest good? Did I act as though other people are my kin? Did I keep my attention grounded in the present moment? This is how philosophy becomes practical, not by accumulating ideas for their own sake, but by carrying them into life. Marcus Aurelius demonstrated this for us. His journaling wasn't a performance. It wasn't academic display. It was spiritual exercise. He wrote reminders to himself because he needed reminders. He returned to the same principles because living well required repetition. And so do we. To live like a philosopher isn't to know everything. It's not to master every argument or possess a complete system in perfect detail. It's to choose every day to be guided by wisdom rather than impulse, by virtue rather than appearance, by presence rather than distraction. The ancient philosopher wasn't merely someone who spoke about philosophy. The ancient philosopher practiced, and that's still the task.